In a normal situation, the death of a spouse leaves one devastated, helpless, and sad. The loss of love, care, companionship, and livelihood is too much to bear. The departure of a friend and sometimes a breadwinner results in a radical change in one's social status and lifestyle. One becomes a widow or a widower. Issues of death, as emotive as they are, get more complicated when one has to adjust to the new situation, which is mostly controlled by predetermined cultural forces that one may or may not understand. The consequence of ill treatment that someone receives from society and sometimes from the in-laws is a problem that touches most widows in Zimbabwe. Sometimes they are discouraged from remarrying, especially to protect one's inheritance, but the question remains, why are some societies against widows remarrying? This is Issues Pane-Nyaya. I'd like to remind you to mask up, to sanitize, maintain social distance, most importantly, go and get vaccinated. My name is Sokostina with Sipho Sihle Ndlovu on sign language. Today on Issues Pane-Nyaya, we talk and we discuss about a moving story about a spouse after death situation. How does society view this? Is it a taboo? Or is it unacceptable to remarry? What happened to till death do us part? To unpack this issue, I'd like to invite in studio Chipo Dekeza. Chipo, how are you doing?
I am fine. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Chipo. Chipo is a life coach and has a passion about this actual conversation that we are having that affects society. And I also have a personal friend of mine and a mental health ambassador and coach, Tony Friday. How are you doing, Tony?
I'm great, Celestine.
Welcome to Issues Pane-Nyaya. And a brave woman, Francesca Mandipa Mukoka, who is going to share with us her experiences after the death of her husband. Again, welcome to Issues Pane-Nyaya.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Francesca. You are such a brave woman. But let's get right to it. For those who believe in the Bible, of course, the 1 Timothy 5 verse 14 says that, "So I counsel younger widows to marry, to have children, to manage their homes, and to give the enemy no opportunity for slander." Islam's holy book, the Quran, also submits that it is permissible to a wife to remarry after her iddah or waiting in period ends in order to maintain her chastity or to feel the emotional and psychological emptiness due to the absence of their husband. Has this been the case for you, Francesca? Did you actually, let's start from the beginning.
Okay.
When did you lose your husband?
October 2004.
That long back?
Yes.
It's been almost
I should say
18?
Yeah, it's almost 18 years now.
18 years now. And what happened after the death of your husband?
Because I was left with a daughter.
Right.
She was 6 back then, and then my son was 4.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to find a way to move on, because in our culture, when we are at the funeral, everybody says that they're going to be there for you. Everybody says, "I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this." But then once the funeral is done, everybody goes their own way.
Each to themselves.
Exactly.
Each to their own.
And then you're left on your own.
Right.
But even if when they go out of your life or they leave the funeral and then they don't come back to want to know how you're doing, everybody wants to control your life.
So this everybody, is it your family or your in-laws?
Everyone.
Everyone.
From both sides.
Right.
Yes.
So what controlling, name this controlling, what is that?
That controlling is more like them telling you how you should live your life.
Right.
Them telling you that since your husband is gone, it is proper for you to do things this way. They're not. Nobody puts into consideration that you were born an individual.
Okay.
And then even for you to get to that period where your husband passes away, you were using your own brain. Now that somebody is gone, they want to control how you think and then how you do things. I mean, initially, for me, it was okay.
Why was it okay?
Because I was living in a limbo.
Okay.
That's the period that you go through after the funeral.
So let's talk about the wealth that your husband and you had acquired together. Was it more for the other than the other, or it was community of property?
It was community of property.
Okay.
Yes.
So why did you feel it was important to listen to all these people? Are you saying you were that helpless that your brain went into limbo?
You know, I was 28.
Okay.
And then I was dealing with the situation that I wasn't employed at the time. He's the one that was employed.
Right.
And then I had just started a business. And then it's not proper for you to say 3-4 days after the funeral, you're going back to work.
Okay.
You know, so you have to stick around for about a month or so when the things are being sorted out. So I was trying to build something, and then he was gone, and then the income is gone, you know, and then you start asking yourself questions. Okay, what am I going to do with these children? Where am I going to get the rentals to pay? Where am I going to get the money to pay the bills? And then somebody takes control. Okay, it seems like they're taking control. You just let them.
Who's this somebody? Because we want to get to the root of the conversation, because I have Chipo and Tony here who are going to help us unpack. And the only way we can unpack is if we know the story. So don't mind my digging deep.
No
so
problem.
who are these people? Because I want to get to actually find out, is it your family that was telling you do this or that, or is it your in-laws? Who was actually on the forefront of calling the shots?
Calling the shots on the forefront, it was more my family.
Okay, what were they saying?
You know, what they were saying is, you know, like I'm going to.
You can go ahead if you want
exactly.
to speak in
They would say, "Uri murora wekwaningi," so you know what they say goes. You know, like the parents, the tetes. My siblings, they didn't, you know, interfere, but it was more the older people.
So did you get married like wedding in church?
In church, I got married like the culture way, and then I also got married in church.
So because of vana here, or they were disregarding till death do us part?
Looking at it now, it was disregarding the till death do us part. I don't know, but from the look of things, it was, I think that was the issue, because it was more being told now that, remember, you're telling a 28-year-old.
That's young, yeah.
You're telling somebody who's that young that now that your husband is passed away, it's best that you take care of these children. What more would you want? You were given a boy, you were given a girl. So
your needs don't matter. Wow. Okay, let me give you some time to breathe, and you know, because I'm going to come back and we go into the deep conversations of this. Tony, I want to come to you. This situation, do men get to a point where their wife dies? Do they ever get people talk to them like this? Like, chichengeta vana, rimkwasha wewe kwa ningi. Just she wasn't even laugh.
You laugh because you know the response to that.
Okay.
It's the custom itself is very repressive to women. You know. I was joking about this earlier, and I was saying kuti munozere kuti panofa mukadzi wemurume pafuneral chaipo pafuneral yafiwa mukadzi vanhu pavanenge vakuparara paya pano vanotodedzwa paside votonzi saka mati vasari vega. No, I'm telling you, because it's
like kusara vega nemukadzi. What do you think?
Murume afirwa kauri ari kunzi hama dzavo kuti manje saka mati vasari vachirara vega here panapa. You understand? And pane tukuma underground arrangements tunoitwa days after the wife dies. The point here being that men are allowed to move on whenever they want to.
To move on.
And it's not the same for women. That's how repressive it is.
So it's not a
women.
shock what Francisca is saying?
No, it's not a shock at all. It's a very, I'm not too sure where it comes from, but it does exist. It's not the same to women as it is for men. Men are allowed to, move on at will, whether it's after divorce or after death. In fact, if you go beyond 6 months, panototanga kutogarwa tomatare kunzi mati zvizoitwa seko vana ava mati vachengetwe nani, that kind of thing. But that's just how it is,
So okay, because I know you personally, I know you raised your daughter. How old is Kim now?
16.
Wow, yeah. Kim has grown.
She was 6 at the time.
Did you ever have pressure for people to say, marry, for you to raise Kim?
Absolutely. So what happened was the divorce happened, and through circumstances I found, being the only parent raising her.
Okay.
She was 6 at the time, grade 2, or she was in grade 1.
6 is grade 1, yeah.
Grade 1. Well, she went to school when she was 5.
Okay,
so she was in grade 2, yes.
Okay.
So I took her on board.
Right.
And I remember the conversation I had with her grandmother, because her grandmother had been looking after her for a year after divorce. So there was no warning. I just drove to Gweru. And I got there and I said,
you really wanted your child?
Yes.
Okay.
That was my desire, to raise my own blood, right? So when I got there, I remember it was on a Sunday, and then I just got there and go. And I was because her mom was out of the country at the time. And I remember her asking me all these questions, like, so chichichaitika, like, how are you going to do this, right? How are you going to raise a girl child by yourself? I lied. I told all kinds of lies.
What lies did you tell?
I told her that I had a maid. I told her that, all kinds of things were in place, because I didn't want to deal with these questions. But the truth is,
This was her maternal grandmother?
Yes, her maternal grandmother. And I remember her grandmother giving me a call a day after I had gone to take her, and she said she was going to send someone. A story for another day. She was going to send someone to make sure that everything was.
You included in this. Everything was okay. I just want to make sure.
But the point here being that being, she was so worried that I wasn't going to be able to look after the
Kim.
Yeah, my child by myself, because I'm a man, and there's all kinds of conceptions.
But what made you stay all these years single? I mean,
I'll tell you what it was.
What?
It was, dating as a single parent is never easy.
Okay.
And because when you date, you are not just dating for yourself. I think the first thing that comes is, will this be the kind of person that would be around my child? So I dated a lot of people that my daughter never knew about, which she never met, because there was this fear that will they be able to.
So, but you were dating to intend to marry?
Well, not quite. There was a time when, straight after divorce, you get lonely, you get needy, so you date people. Of course, nobody just dates to, or maybe they do, but you date for companionship. You need someone, right? Dating to get married is another issue, but in this moment, you are alone and you need someone in your life. So there were people that I dated, but never got to meet my daughter. But issue here is a big issue. It's enough to keep people from getting married.
Without other people instructing you to?
No.
So Chipo, you hearing these stories, and I'm not sure if you're married. Are you married? Are you single?
No, I am a single parent.
You're a single parent. Okay.
Yes.
So you're not gobsmacked about this conversation.
Yes.
It's very close to home.
Very
and
close
how
to
long
home.
have you been a single mom for?
I had my son when I was 21. It's been 7 years now.
7 years.
Yes.
And you're 28, which is about the time she was told to not
Exactly.
even. I know you were like, my way. I'll come right after the break and talk to Chi about this and find out how she handled all this right after the break.
Generally, society has a tendency of shying away from tackling matters that disrupt the status quo. Instead, such discussions are either avoided. As a result, attitudes are created and truth reinvented. On this platform, we dare to venture into those territories. This is Issues Pane-Nyaya.
Welcome back to the second segment of Issues Pane-Nyaya. And if you're just joining us, I have Francisca, Tony, and Chipo in studio, and we're discussing all things that has brought cultural perceptions, practices, and hindrances for anyone to remarry, especially after they lose a spouse. And we were just talking to Chipo, your situation of being a single parent. Is it divorce? Is it death?
No, for me it was, I just had a baby at 21.
Okay. Right after college.
Before college.
Actually, that was me right in the middle of college. I mean, I also had a baby.
Yes.
And then, so why haven't you remarried? I mean, it's been almost 7 years.
Well, you know, society has made it difficult for us women to move on as much as we want. You know, it's difficult considering the stigma that comes with being a single mother. Already they think you are loose. I mean, when I was listening to her story, society has always made sure that women are in one defined space. If a woman should grow up, the moment she's transitioning from a girl to a woman, she must settle down once in her life.
Okay.
Because family inenge ichiti ndokuti unzi une hunhu kuti unzi uri mukadzi. That's why even if she was 28, wanting to be with someone, her needs do not come first to the society. Her dignity, the picture that they see in a woman is the one that they are like, hey, at least wakambororwa. And they are places which are not comfortable where they put you. For example, if the husband dies first, unotanga kutonzi kukana uri urikuuraya varume, you know. Yes, and it's difficult for vakadzi to now anobva atanga ku society starts labeling you like uri muroi. What if you are the one anouraya varume? You get married again and then what? They might not say directly to you, but you will hear it.
So you are not getting married because you are waiting for your dignity card to get to the limit?
No. For me, it's a personal choice. Like he was saying, when you're a single parent, there are times where you are like, okay, you need to choose between, remember I'm a parent on my own, the main parent playing in my son's life. So I'm thinking I need to build a life for him. At what point am I going to get someone who is not just for me, but for my son as well? So when you become a single parent, the dating scene becomes different. You have a lot of things to consider now.
Francisca, is that true? Did you feel like they didn't want you to move on? Or didn't you move on because you thought they were going to take property from you? What was going on in your head when people were then telling you that, you know, do not move on?
Okay, first initially I wanted to rebel.
Okay.
I wanted to rebel against it all. And then
How were you going to rebel? I'm asking for myself.
Okay, this is a mad one.
I want to hear it.
I wanted to do things, you know, to show them that I am an individual, you know, just go wild. Because
How wild is wild?
very wild.
Okay.
You know. And then I looked at my children and then I say, okay, she's 6 and then he's 4. What lessons will I be giving them? So it was
Wait, lessons to be loved and to have companionship and someone to spend the rest of your life. You didn't want them to have that lesson that you can share a life beautifully with someone else.
no, I'm talking about the wild part.
Oh, right. Because it's been almost 2 decades.
Yes.
And you still haven't remarried.
I haven't.
Right now, you're what? How old are you now?
I'm 45.
And you still so you've wait before we talk about your children. So are you saying you've not had companionship, you've not fallen in love, you've not dated for the past 2 decades?
Believe me, I have.
Okay.
Yes.
And did
And
your family know about this or it was undercover?
They knew twice.
Okay, but the other many they didn't.
The one that I'm with right now.
They don't know.
They don't.
Now
because-
they do.
Okay. Because I decided that if I let them know,
Right.
it will just be more drama,
Okay.
you know.
But where's the drama? What's the drama? I mean, it's been 20 years. What drama are they going to bring
That
for
drama, like from home, you're being told, okay, you're already this age. You know, you've got your children. What else do you need? And then you go to church. You're being told the same thing again.
you? Church
Yes.
also says the same.
Exactly. Don't even let them fool you.
So what did your kids say? These kids that you wanted them to grow up in a certain environment. What did they say about seeing you single and bringing them up together? Bringing them up, the two of them by yourself.
You know, I only discovered when my daughter was 20. You know, we were having a fight. And then she told me, Mama, I'm not the reason for your problems.
Okay.
You're all over the place. You're shouting at everyone. You're just angry. Come on, get a boyfriend and go on a date. You know, that was my daughter
no,
at 20.
she didn't.
She did. She
in
did.
your face.
In my face. And then I just went to sleep and then I'm like thinking, okay,
No, you just didn't go to sleep. Let's walk through this. You were angry.
I was angry, yes.
And how dare you talk to me like
you
that?
see now.
But when you go to bed, you're like, you know what?
I was
This child is
hyperventilating.
this child is onto something.
Yes. And then that's when I started taking stock of my life. And then I was like, okay, I may have put on this front that I'm a strong person. I want to be there for my children. But, you know, the reason for all this anger is because I am on my own. You know, I don't have anybody else to, you know, pick a fight with. You know, that person, you know, who can calm you down when you go mad. And then you take it out on the children.
Tony, did you ever feel like that? Angry and alone and taking it out on your daughter?
Not that I can remember.
Well, maybe because you were dating a lot, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty much on the dating scene like the whole time.
So I mean, how are you balancing Jolo and your child? Like, how are you
by
balancing?
the way, I have to say this. At the next Olympics, can we please have under extreme sport Mjolo? Yes?
Oh, you want to talk, I guess.
Because Mjolo is an extreme
So
sport.
you
on
were
its own.
dating. You were dating.
I was very much on the dating scene. But the only thing that I was very careful about was who my child gets to meet at this point.
So you were never stressed or angry or alone?
I wouldn't say there was a time. I mean, obviously, when you get into something and then it ends and then, you know, you go through that, you know, healing season, but it doesn't last long because there's always someone else waiting to get in, you understand?
Aren't you lucky?
So I can't say that I went through what she went through. It was a bit different on my side. I was free to do a lot of things. Also because people expect you at some point to meet someone that you're actually going to settle down with.
Tony, you are in entertainment.
Yes.
And I know when we worked together, we had night functions, we
Yes.
had all those, we had to go long places, different places. Who was staying behind with Kim?
We always had a maid at some point.
You then had the maid you lied about when you took her.
The maid came eventually,
Okay.
you know, and we were fortunate that, you know, we had this one helper that stayed with us for quite a while. So
was
yes,
she older, younger?
she was middle-aged, I think.
You never got attracted to
She was
the
actually
maid?
married to
Okay,
someone else,
okay.
and also because she was not, she would leave, she would take off on weekends and all of that. But yeah, pretty much she was around, and she's the one who, you know, made sure there was a bit of stability in the home. But I do get what you're saying, because I would always get asked these questions, like, you know, so how do you balance? How do you have a woman in your house and, you know, not indulge in all of those things? And I think it's really just out of personal choice that you do not.
And discipline.
Yeah, and discipline, and besides, as I'm saying, like, there was always someone in the picture. So it was, I can't say I went through the same challenges that she went through. Also because I'm a man, and I know how society has these double standards when it comes to.
It gives you too much, you know, get
freedom
out of jail
to do
free
whatever.
card.
You know, we go out and wild out, and it's okay.
This one
according to
tried, she
society.
wanted to wild it out. And then she realized that is
couldn't.
going to not
Yes.
happen.
In fact, at some point, I should tell you this. At some point, the conversation in the home was me and my daughter.
Right.
And she's saying that, are you ever gonna, you know?
Did she want
like,
a mom?
She wanted a mom. She needed a mom, because there were certain conversations we couldn't
So why
have.
were you not giving her a mom?
Because I hadn't met anybody that.
Your son is going to get to that point. You're raising a son. Does he have a relationship with his dad?
Yes, he does.
But you don't want to remarry, or you're hoping to get
I
back
am
to
going
baby
to
daddy?
remarry. Come on, I am going to marry. You know, for us women, women want to move on so bad, but women do not have the resources to move on, unlike men.
What resources are
By
these?
resources, I mean this. Okay, your husband dies, you're probably staying with the in-laws, or maybe you have got a house together with your husband.
Yes.
Now, they will give you conditions. This is what controls women in our world. Conditions. They will just tell you, okay, fine, you now feel like you need someone, but not in our brother's house. And you're thinking, okay, even if ndikada kuyenda, where do I
But
go
how is
with
it their
the
brother's
kids?
house? He's dead. It's now my house.
It's those simple things. You know, women are not even empowered with information, or they don't even know how to defend that inheritance. So they will simply be, if you ask a lot of women the things that they are afraid of, do they have proof that they cannot deal with it? It's just words. You cannot do this, and they're like, okay, it's fine, because I cannot do this. I will not be able to live on my own with the kids, or I cannot fight for my husband's inheritance. It's those simple things.
Yeah. She's very right.
The conversation about inheritance is definitely what's going to shut down our third segment, and we'll be right back.
Generally, society has a tendency of shying away from tackling matters that disrupt the status quo. Instead, such discussions are either avoided. As a result, attitudes are created and truth reinvented. On this platform, we dare to venture into those territories. This is Issues Pane-Nyaya.
What I know is African widows, Zimbabwean widows respectively, in their cultures, their religions, their ethnic groups, are usually vulnerable to psychological and physical abuse, like highlighted by Chipo earlier on, and they need to find refuge and emotional support in the same society that is giving out that abuse. And because the abuse you're talking about is taking care of the husband, inheritance that they left, and not knowing what the rights they have and rights to look after the things that was left for them. So when we have a situation like that, where they're like, you know, you can't remarry, or the moment you get married, get out of our brother's house. Why is it that a lot of women don't know the law that protects the inheritance that belongs to them?
It is because we grow up being given a script on how to live your life.
Right.
If you have never made choices on your own, or been given the privilege to make choices on your own, people will always make choices for you.
Right.
This is what happens to our women, and it's sad because women do not even know that they have a right to be happy. And sexual needs as part of a basic human right. But do women know that they do not?
Let's ask this one. Do you know that? Do you know that you have a right to be happy?
No, I do.
When did you realize this?
Let's say when I got into my late 30s.
Late 30s, which is your 38, 37, 38.
Thereabouts.
And that's when you're like, no way, I have a right to be happy. Were you living in the home that you and your husband bought together?
No.
So you didn't have any threat of people taking any inheritance from you?
No.
So why were you listening to them?
You know, I don't know, I think it's more of, you know, what was instilled in you when you were growing up, what you saw happening to those that came before you. And then you start thinking, okay, if those that came before me went this way,
right,
so I should follow the same mold as well.
Okay.
And then I followed that mold until it got suffocating and I didn't want to be there anymore. And then I just told myself, no, this is not it.
So are you ready to get married now?
Very ready.
You're going to dashiki it.
Yes.
And have the girls with the matching outfit.
Exactly, walk down the aisle.
You're ready?
Yes.
When is this happening?
Okay, in the next 2 years.
Well, at least I'll be walking, so I definitely will be coming to that wedding. Tony, you were saying something very passionately when we were off air, to say, yeah, women experience that, the whole inheritance and people wanting to take things from them.
Yes,
Why?
I have a brother who passed on 2 years ago.
Right.
The last born in our family. He left a wife, very young wife. I think she's in early 30s, and obviously, and the daughter. So she's staying in my father's house where my young brother was living in. So at the funeral, you know, there's this meeting that is held, and then she is told that, you know what, you are welcome to stay for as long as you want to. We will only release you when you are ready to. But in essence, what they're really saying is, the day that you decide you want to move on, then you will stop enjoying the privileges that you are enjoying now because of where you are.
You were a progressive man. What did you say when they said that?
Unfortunately, customs and culture, they're very powerful. And we cannot deny the fact that, you know, they do affect how we make our day-to-day decisions. But what I've started doing in the last few years is interrogating those aspects of custom and culture that do not serve me, and do away with them. And if you really think about it, for the most part, we never ever question anything. The African culture, when it comes to, or the Zimbabwean culture, when it comes to moving on from a deceased, you know, partner, is not very friendly to mental health at all.
No, it's not.
Right from the funeral, you are told as a widow that you're not supposed to cry. How on earth does that work? And you are given a grieving period.
Right.
You are given all these conditions that do not serve you. Even when you're ready to move forward, you can't, because it's
with that thought, before I forget, did you get a Sarapavana, Francisca? Were you given bamnini wesekuru tusendo sarapavana?
Fortunately for me, I was given a female.
Okay.
Yes, I was given
A tete.
yes.
And did she help? Oh, okay.
Very rare.
Very rare.
It was a name only,
Okay.
because my mother-in-law decided that she's 28 with all these men here. If we give her Sarah Power now, who's one of these, she's in trouble.
Right.
Yes.
So she did it to protect you.
Yes.
But at the same time, she didn't want you to remarry.
No.
And now, is she okay with you getting married?
She's late.
Okay.
Yes.
So is that okay? And your ex-husband's family, your late husband's family, are they okay for you to marry now?
I've reached a point where I've decided that they have to follow behind me. You know, I got to a point where I just said, I'm taking control of my life.
Because you had given it away.
Yes. So I took my life from everybody that was holding it. And then I said, I'm going to live for me.
Right.
You know, when I said that, that is when, you know, I met somebody who I can say, okay, that's my soulmate.
Oh.
So it was just, I was my own problem.
I like that. You're
Yeah.
recognizing that you
Yes.
held yourself back
Exactly.
all these years. My name Chichi. You can hear what she's saying.
Yes.
That she held herself back. What is it about women that hold, you have this inclination to hold back?
Okay. For women, naturally, they are committers. Women commit naturally, unlike men. That's why you find a man
like
can
that.
yes, a man can move on tomorrow. He can move on tomorrow.
No, there's that song. Apedza upfundia anzi panga vepa namo chaipo.
Exactly. Patova ne girlfriend vari kutotsonyana. Yes. But for women can commit even to something which is not there, to a memory. How many, I remember my grandmother, when Sekuru passed long time ago, she would say, his grave is unattended, he can't be alone. She's committed
to that
memory. And also betraying that memory is something that she doesn't want to die with. She's protecting the memory by
Why is it
staying
that women
committed.
fall in love more when someone is dead than when someone was alive?
Exactly. No, they are also women. How many women, Wekuti, the husband went to the UK 10 years ago, she's still saying, Baba Chauya, but she's already moved on. That's women for you. Letting go and moving on for women has always been difficult.
What? You're itching.
In defense of mankind.
Right.
I was waiting for that.
I don't think it's that men move on quicker.
Okay.
It's just that, society has these imbalances that just allow men to I think
So
that
do you feel like you're under pressure to move on quickly?
No. It's not even that.
Right.
But I think both men and women alike want to move on as soon as possible.
Okay.
Right? But society does not allow us to do so. But because the rules are on our side, we just do it. We have permission to do it faster.
Okay.
Because 2, 3, whether it's death or divorce or just breaking up, it's okay for me to, date the next person on the list. But it's not so much for women, even when they feel like, you know what, I get needy, I get lonely, I would love to have someone. And besides, what's better comfort can you think of than having...
Let's ask you, Tony, are
Yes.
you going to remarry?
Absolutely, yes.
Absolutely. That's you don't even have to think about
Absolutely.
it.
No, because I love family. I love I love the idea of having a family. I'm a family-oriented person. I
Okay.
do not like the idea
But it
of...
took you 16 years.
I am
Not
over
remarry.
mujolified as it is. How many people can you go on a date with honestly and
I
ask?
know, that's a lot.
So tell me about you. You get tired at some point.
What is your
You
favorite
just-
color?
What's your favorite color?
What's your favorite food?
It gets boring and old.
Right.
At some point, you just want to have this one person that you call home, whether it's a lifetime companion or a wife or whatever that means, and just someone just to come home to, man. Consistency is beautiful. I love the idea of
And you heard Francisca say, I took control. It means she got to a place in her mental state where she says, my mental health is more important than what every other noise is being amplified into my ear. You are doing mental health, and when someone gets to this point, is this a good point where she is?
It's a beautiful place to be, because it's because you are at a place where you are in a position of power.
Okay.
When you're in a position of power, you can decide the course of your life, whether it's in your career, love life, health, or whatever it is. You know, you call the shots. And it's easier to pick as opposed to be picked when you are in that position of power. So you are, it's a beautiful place. You are in a position of power. So well
do you feel beautiful? Because listen, you're sitting like a queen. You're on a throne. You're owning it. You wouldn't be like this at 28, would you have been? You'd have been folded and shying away.
I was like a mouse ready to run. But right now, I can safely say I own me, because what I learned from my life back then, it gave me power to be in a place where I tell myself I don't want to go back there, because I knew how it felt. And this is me, and this is where we are going to stay, all of us. This is where I'm going to stay, and I'm going to stick to it.
Chichi, are you going to ever be at that place, or you're there?
I've always been there.
Right.
I've always been there, because remember when I had my baby, I also had pressure to say, you can't have Nomburi Pamba go. And I was like, I don't love the guy. I do not, it was a mistake. I do not want. I've always had the support system to allow me to think independently.
Right.
So women also need that support system, so that they too can feel the freedom to say, okay, this is what I am thinking about. Women are never asked, they are just dictated to. Do this, do that. They are never asked, is it something that you would consider? Is it something that you want? So women also
they think you don't have a brain to think for yourself.
Exactly. So if you can get a support system, women can heal. This is why we have a lot of baby mama drama, because women are bitter. They do not have a support system to allow them to heal. They too need to heal so they can move on, and so the society can be a better and happy place.
So, I can't resist. Baby mama drama. You're not that mama that's got drama.
No, he moved on. I am also moving on. Let's be happy. Let's co-parent. It's about the child. He also needs that, to see mom and dad happy, even if we're not together. He needs to, he needs to see us both happy.
You're very kind. Now, I want to shut this down. What do you have to say to the other widowers and widows out there in terms of moving on? Is it a taboo, or it's okay to remarry?
It's okay. It's okay to move on. It's okay to remarry if you want, or get into a lifetime commitment. And it's proper, and it's the thing to do to get control of who you are, rather than giving that control to somebody else.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And Tony, what do you have to say to people outside?
There's so much to say, but we don't have time. Besides Mujolo being in extreme sport at the Olympics, I would say, do you come first. No person can control you without your permission. So just put yourself first. As selfish as that sounds, but I think from that position you are able to offer a lot more to society than you would if you were just hiding in some corner. So just do you.
Right. And Chipo, what do you have to say?
To fellow women, I want to say, let's be empowered. You are going to need to stand on your own, and if you do not have the resources, you'll be restricted. You will always be put in a corner because of dependency syndrome. So always be empowered with information, get a skill, so that you can be able to defend yourself. You will need that. And also, it's okay to move on. People will understand. Just take that step and do what makes you happy. They will come along.
They will get over it.
Exactly.
With that, families are therefore challenged to move beyond the boundaries of comfort, create space for widows and widowers to move, to heal, to love, and to move forward. Instead of, causing so much headache and pain to someone, society and family must provide the much needed moral support for the widowed spouse to carry on. Zimbabwe's open culture of providing counseling and public spaces, discussing grief in churches, with the neighbors, with family members, is very important in the healing process. Wouldn't it be selfish to tell someone that they can't be loved again, or they can't move on or get embraced? That someone chooses to move on and the family embraces that decision will be an absolute pleasure. On that note, we've come to the end of our show today, and in memory of the late Memory Machaya, here at Issues Pane-Nyaya, we send love and remembrance to the family. And the whole of ZTN family would like to say no to child marriages. We do not condone it. It is a collective responsibility for citizens to speak out and report all perpetrators of sexual violence to law enforcement. To enjoy more of our programming, please follow and like ZTN Facebook page, and kindly subscribe to our YouTube page, Zim Papers TV Network. Follow us on Twitter at ZTN News. And please remember, the COVID cases are on a rise and we must all get vaccinated. Let's not forget, please mask up, sanitize, maintain social distance, and stay at home if you're sick. Avoid going to unnecessary gatherings and follow all precautions, and do not put your friends, your family, and colleagues at risk. From me, Sokostina, Siposihle Ndlovu on sign language, the production crew, and of course, my panel. Thank you so much for staying with us through this program. Stay safe and enjoy ZTN.